Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling hills and a quiet forest, there lived a kind farmer and his wife, with their 3 sons. The farmer had always dreamed of having a daughter to complete their family. Every evening, he would look up at the stars and wish with all his heart for a little girl to love and cherish. One starry night, he made his wish so fervently that he said aloud, "Please, kind spirits, grant us a daughter. We would welcome any child, even if she were as clever and wild as a fox." The next morning, his wife discovered she was expecting a baby, and months later, they were blessed with a beautiful daughter with bright eyes and silky black hair. The little girl, whom they named Su-jin, was indeed as clever as her father had wished. She could solve puzzles that stumped her older brothers, and she moved as quietly as a shadow through the house. Her family adored her, and she seemed to bring joy and laughter wherever she went. However, as Su-jin grew older, strange things began to happen around the farm. The chickens stopped laying eggs, and the vegetables in the garden began to wither. The milk from their cow turned sour every morning, and their stores of rice seemed to disappear overnight. The family grew worried about their livelihood. One evening, the eldest brother decided to stay awake and discover what was causing these problems. Hidden behind the barn, he watched in amazement as his little sister crept out of the house in the moonlight. She whispered strange words to the chickens, touched the plants with her fingertips, and seemed to be taking small portions of their food stores. The next morning, he told his father what he had seen. "Father, I believe our sister is using some kind of magic that is harming our farm," he said carefully. But the father loved his daughter so much that he could not believe such a thing. "You must have been dreaming," he said firmly. "Perhaps you fell asleep and imagined it all." The second brother volunteered to watch the next night. He too saw his sister performing mysterious actions that seemed to drain the life from their crops and animals. When he reported this to his father, he received the same response. The father's love for his daughter made him blind to the truth. Finally, the youngest brother took his turn. He was the most thoughtful of the 3, and he watched very carefully. What he saw filled him with both sadness and understanding. His sister was indeed using magic, but he could see that she was troubled and unhappy. She seemed to be taking small amounts of life force from the farm, not out of malice, but because she was hungry for something she could not name. When the youngest brother spoke to his father, he chose his words gently. "Father, our sister is special in ways we do not understand. She has abilities that are different from ours, and I think she may not even realize how her actions affect our farm. Perhaps we should speak with the wise woman from the village who knows about such things." But the father, still unable to accept that his beloved daughter could cause any harm, grew angry with all 3 sons. "You are all jealous of your sister," he declared. "Leave this house and do not return until you can speak kindly of her." And so, with heavy hearts, the 3 brothers gathered their few belongings and left their childhood home. The brothers wandered for many months, working in different villages and learning about the world beyond their farm. During their travels, they met a wise old monk who listened to their story with great compassion. "Sometimes," he said, "love can make us blind to truth, and sometimes those we love may not understand their own nature. Here, take these." He gave them 4 small bottles filled with different colored waters: blue for peace, yellow for wisdom, white for protection, and red for courage. "These may help you when the time is right," the monk explained. "But remember, the greatest magic is always kindness and understanding." After a year had passed, the 3 brothers decided to visit their family home to see how everyone was faring. As they approached, they noticed that the farm looked worse than when they had left. The fields were barren, the animals were thin and listless, and the house itself seemed to sag with sadness. Su-jin came out to greet them, and she appeared pale and tired. "My dear brothers," she said, "I am so glad you have returned. Our parents have grown ill and have gone to stay with relatives in the distant mountains. I have been trying to care for the farm alone, but everything I touch seems to wither and fade." The brothers looked at their sister with new eyes. They could see now that she was not truly human, but a fox spirit who had taken the form of their beloved sister. Yet they also saw that she was lonely and confused, struggling to understand her own nature. "We know what you are," said the eldest brother gently, "but we also know that you have lived as our sister and that you have tried to be part of our family." Su-jin's eyes filled with tears. "I never meant to harm anyone," she whispered. "I came to your family because I was lonely and wanted to know what it felt like to be loved. But my fox nature requires me to take energy from living things, and I could not stop myself, even though it hurt those I had grown to care about." The middle brother stepped forward with the blue bottle. "This is for peace," he said, sprinkling a few drops on the ground. Immediately, the withered plants began to show tiny green shoots. The youngest brother opened the yellow bottle. "This is for wisdom," he said. "Perhaps it can help you understand your true nature and find a way to live without harming others." As the yellow water touched Su-jin's forehead, her fox ears and tail became visible for a moment before she transformed back into her human appearance. But now, her eyes held a new understanding. "I see now," she said softly. "I am a fox spirit, and while I genuinely love this family, I cannot remain here without causing harm. My deception, even though it came from loneliness rather than malice, has hurt everyone I care about, including myself." The eldest brother opened the white bottle for protection and the red bottle for courage. "These will help you find your way to where you truly belong," he said, "and they will help us remember you with love rather than fear." Su-jin smiled through her tears. "Thank you for showing me kindness, even when you knew the truth. I will return to the forest where I belong, but I will never forget the love I felt as part of your family." She paused and added, "Please tell our parents that their real daughter lives on in their hearts, even though I was never truly her." As dawn broke, Su-jin transformed into a beautiful red fox with a magnificent tail. She touched each brother's hand gently with her paw, and they felt a warm blessing flow through them. Then she bounded away into the forest, where she would learn to live according to her true nature, without deceiving others or herself. The brothers returned to their farm, and with the remaining magical waters, they were able to restore it to its former abundance. When their parents returned from the mountains, the brothers told them the truth with great gentleness. Though their parents were sad to learn that their daughter had been a fox spirit, they were grateful for the love they had shared, and proud of their sons for handling the situation with such wisdom and compassion. From that day forward, the family occasionally saw a red fox watching them from the edge of the forest. She never came close enough to cause harm, but her presence reminded them that love can exist even between different kinds of beings, and that sometimes the kindest thing we can do is to accept the truth and allow others to be who they truly are. And so they all lived more wisely and peacefully, having learned that deception, even when born from loneliness or love, ultimately harms both the deceiver and those who are deceived, but that truth spoken with kindness can heal even the deepest hurts. Moral of the story: deception, even when it comes from loneliness or wanting to belong, ultimately harms both the one who deceives and those who are deceived. True love and friendship can only grow from honesty and accepting others for who they truly are. The end.